Hello everyone, Mr. Love here, coming to you from outside the diesel shop here. Today we're just going to be doing some basic operation of a couple of our skid steers that we have here. So out here with us right now we have the S130 and our 753 Bobcat skid steers. We have another 205 Bobcat inside our barn here still, but it's basically the same controls as our S130, so we'll just run through the basic controls on this. Okay, so our two skid steers here look the same. Just one has foot controls on it for running the bucket operation. The other one has hand controls on it for running the bucket operation. So they're just a little bit different. But our pre-trip and our other stuff's going to be pretty close to the same. So first thing we do before we operate any equipment, we make sure we have on our proper personal protective equipment. So we definitely want to have on our hard hat, safety glasses, high-vis vest, work boots, some sort of work pants, either mechanic work pants or nice heavy jeans, and we want to have on a decent shirt. T-shirts and stuff are okay, but if you're going to be out in the sun for a long time, I suggest something with long sleeves that you can put your long sleeves down. Make sure it's something breathable though. Nice cotton shirt or something would be good on a day like today. Okay, so let's get started with our pre-trip inspection. Okay, first of all, with our pre-trip inspection, we're going to do kind of just a walk around circle of safety. We're going to be checking up, underneath, around, on top of, around the surrounding area of the piece of equipment. So we're going to walk all the way around it. We're going to check everything out just for general stuff as we're walking around. Added hazards, animals, small kids, electrical lines. We got power lines and stuff right above it up here. Just stuff like that we need to worry about on a construction site. So we're going to be walking around here, walk all the way around the vehicle, give everything kind of a once over, check our tires, check for leaks, make sure nothing's hanging underneath our vehicle, just to make sure everything's in pretty decent condition before we get started here. Okay, so our daily checklist includes checking oils and fluids and stuff like that. So we'll get started with our back component right here, compartment. So back here we have our engine and hydraulic coolers, coolant system, radiator, stuff like that. To access it, there's a little latch down inside here. We just squeeze the latch, we can open this right up, just swing it open. Okay, a lot of them too will have an upper part up here. We could raise up and kind of just prop up here at this point. Some of them have a latch on them. This one doesn't appear to have a latch, so we'll just check this stuff real quick up here. So up here we have our coolant expansion tank. We want to make sure there's coolant in there. Make sure that it's at the full mark. We'll just check our oil cooler and stuff here. We'll check our radiator. Just look for added debris or anything like that. If we're out on a construction site, sometimes we have debris blowing around, small branches, bags, stuff like that might get caught up in here. So just make sure it's all cleared out and it's going to, breathe good today. Okay, so that part looks good up there. We'll get that closed down. Okay, now we'll check our fluid down here. So here we have our fuel tank fill up here. We have a fuel gauge up on our dash that we'll check once we fire it up. This is where we would fill it at here. You wouldn't be able to check it in here unless you had a long curvy stick because the tank's actually way down below down there. But this is where we fill it at right here. What we want to check right now is our engine oil. Pull out our engine oil dipstick. We'll wipe that off. We'll pop that back in the hole there. Okay, and we just want to make sure that we're above the add mark and below the full mark there. So again, we'll wipe it off before we put it back down in there. Okay, and we just want to check everything else out pretty good. We'll check our belts out. We have a fan belt and stuff up in there. Kind of runs our fan and some other components there, our alternator. We'll check our wiring here, just make sure that it's not rubbing on anything. Check our hoses. Big thing we want to check on our off-road equipment, our batteries, make sure the hold downs are good. We don't want those shifting around while we're out running the equipment around. The bottoms of the batteries are made out of plastic. They'll wear out if they're scuffing around. Plus the plates inside there don't like vibration very much. So we got a lot of vibration from these machines here. So just check everything out, make sure there's no leaks, make sure everything looks like it's securely mounted. Give everything a little shake, just make sure everything's on there good. Okay, so everything looks good here, so we'll shut this back up. Make sure that it's latched good, you don't want that popped open while you're driving around. Okay, so we'll continue around their piece of equipment right here. Over on this side over here, this is where we have our hydraulic fill and check right here. You can see we have a nice little dipstick right here. We pull our dipstick out and make sure that we have fluid in there. Make sure it's above the add mark and below the full mark. Make sure that we're good to go. If we had to fill our hydraulics, this is where we would fill it at. Make sure you use the approved Bobcat oil for that. Okay, so everything looks pretty good. Let's check out our basic controls here. I'm here with my S130 Bobcat. I'm going to hop in and just run the basic controls. So remember, this is just for basic operation of our skid steer. Always refer to the owner's manual ahead of time. Study up on that before you run any of these pieces of equipment. Okay, so when I get in here, I want to use my 3 points of contact. Skid steers are a little hard to get into, especially for us bigger guys here. There's not a lot of foot room on our skid steers here. So we want to make sure our bucket's always down on the ground whenever we get in and out of here, because we actually have to cross underneath where our bucket goes up and down. So we don't want to have our bucket up in the air and get out of here. We always want to have it down on the ground where we can safely get out. Okay? So you can see on our different attachments, we usually have little steps built into our attachments. On the front of our bucket here, we got 2 steps we could step on. Plus up here we have steps. You can see our slip tape right here on here, slip tape here, 2 grab handles, 1 on each side, where we could use the grab handles and these steps to get up in here safely, using 3 points of contact. Get up on top, kind of spin around, and kind of plop down inside here. Okay, and down the side here, again, I said there's not a lot of room inside here. You don't want to be too big running these around. First thing we always do is we put on our seatbelt. Okay, so I got it on my seatbelt. Make sure the latch is good. Make sure it's nice and tight around us here, so we're not going to fly out. Another thing we also have in our skid steers, we have a safety lamp bar we got to pull down. Makes it a little tighter in here. So that comes down, kind of makes a nice little armrest for you while you're running your controls. So it is kind of nice to have. It does make you feel a little safer inside here. Okay, so we have our key. We have our key switch up here on the right-hand side. We're going to put it in. We're just going to cycle the key. Up over on this side over here, this is where we have our gauges. So right now, it's going through its little self-check. We got a little under half a tank of fuel. Everything else looks good, so we could fire it up. We're going to fire it up here. So on this one here, I have 2 different controls for my throttle. I got a hand throttle over here on the right-hand side, right behind my joystick here. I got a foot throttle down on the floor. Again, it's a little hard for my big feet to get to on this piece of equipment here. Okay, so now we're ready to operate. We have our lap belt down, our seat belt on, everything good to go. We have a park and brake switch right up here. Make sure that's switched off. And now we can run our controls here. So before I get started with my controls, there's a little safety button right here. Press to operate motor. So I press that button right there. That's going to activate my hydraulics for me. This right-hand joystick over here, if I pull back on this, it's going to raise my bucket up for me. If I push it forward, it's going to lower the bucket down for me. So right now, that's just the right hand, back to lift up, forward to lower down. If I go to the right with it, it'll dump it out for me, dump my bucket. If I go to the left with it, it's going to bring my bucket back for me, tilt it back. So right is tilt forward, left is tilt back. Forward is down, back is up. Okay, so that's all the right hand joystick. On this one here, to go forward and reverse, I actually have my other left hand joystick here. So for this one here, it does all my turn in, forward, reverse, and stuff for me. If I want to go forward, I push it forward. If I want to go back, I pull it back. The backup people will come on and reverse. If I want to go right with it, I'll take it to the right. If I want to go left with it, I'll take it to the left. So these controls are very nice and user-friendly to operate. So it's really easy to run my bucket and drive at the same time with the 2 joystick style right here. So on this one here, I don't have any foot controls. The only foot control I have is the actual throttle down here. Okay, so when I'm done for the day, I'm going to lower the bucket all the way down to the ground. Okay, so my bucket's all the way down. And now I can make sure my throttle's all the way slowed back down, and I can shut my vehicle off. So before you get off, make sure the parking brake's set. Take your safety bar up, unhook your seat belt, get that out of the way. Then just using your 3 points of contact, we're going to get out of this. Okay, I'm down the side of my other skid steer here. This one's a little bit older, so this one has the foot controls on it here. So it's pretty similar to running the other one, except now we have these two arms up here. These two levers are going to be for my forward, reverse, and steering with these two levers. I'm going to run my bucket controls or whatever attachment I have on there with my feet. Okay, so we'll fire this one up. This one here, the key's over on the left-hand side, and my control panel's over on the right-hand side over here. So again, we have our seat belt, we have our lock bar down in front of us right here. This one's a little tighter inside here. Okay, so we'll turn our piece of equipment to accessory. We'll check all our gauges. We can now see our fuel gauge, our engine oil, temperature, pressure, and our battery one there. So we'll fire it up. Okay, so we're all fired up here. This one has the little hand throttle only. There's no foot throttle on this one. So on this one we have a little hand throttle that's down below, right behind our driving right-hand joystick there. Okay? Down below here we have one other pedal that's for our parking brake. So make sure our parking brake's off down below here. This one has a little mechanical parking brake down here. We'll make sure that's out of the way, and we're good to go. Okay, so like I said before, I don't really like operating skid steers with the foot controls just because, I don't know, my feet are a little too awkward down in tight spots. So I'm a little jerky with these ones here, so my left foot I could raise and lower. So my left foot, if I push forward on the pedal, I could raise my boom up. If I use my heel and push down on the pedal, I could lower my boom down. So left foot with the toes forward, I could raise it up. Left foot with the heel down, I could lower it down. If I wanted to tilt it now, I'd use my right foot. So right foot, if I use my toes and push forward, I could tip the bucket forward. If I want to tip it back, I'd use my heel and tip it back. So let me raise it up a little bit so you can see a little better. Okay? So you can see forward, tilt back, tilt forward, tilt back, raise and lower. So all that's done with the foot controls there. Then my hand controls here. I have a lever on each side here. I have my left arm, my right arm running these levers here. If I wanted to go backwards, I'd pull them both back at the same time. If I wanted to go forward, I'd push them both forward at the same time. If I wanted to go right, I would push the left one forward. It would make me go right. If I wanted to go left, I could either push the left one back, or I could push the right one forward. So just like using a zero-turn lawnmower. So if you haven't ran a zero-turn lawnmower or a skid steer or anything before, it takes a little bit of getting used to, but after a while it becomes second nature. So for driving forward and reverse and left and right and stuff, I prefer these two stick ones just because it's the same as my zero-turn at home. But for actual operation, I prefer the two joysticks with no foot controls. Not a big fan of running the controls with my feet. They're just kind of jerky and kind of hard to get to. Okay? So, again, when I'm all done operating for the day, I'll set my parking brake. I'll make sure my bucket and everything's all the way down on the ground nice and secured. I'll turn my throttle down. And just shut off my piece of equipment. Make sure I pull the keys out for the day. Then I can raise up my little lap bar here, and I can, get out for the day. With running any equipment, be familiar with the controls and everything. Like I said multiple times, read the books and operator manuals before you operate any of the equipment. and just get familiar with the equipment before you get on any job sites and stuff like that. Practice, practice, practice. It takes years of experience to get good at running this type of equipment. So those are the basic controls. There's other functions and stuff we could do with these here. There's a lot of attachments we could put on. You can see we have hydraulic takeoffs on here. We have electronic controls. We have a lot of different attachments for them here. We have buckets, we have forks, we have stump grinders, we have sweepers, we have mulchers, we have all kinds of stuff, attachments for it. So get familiar with each type of a piece of equipment and attachment before you go out and run it for the day. Okay, so that's all. So stay safe out there and give her diesel.